Thanks for stopping by the AGF podcast. Today's guest is Brutal Johnny Bedford, Ultimate Fighter and UFC alumni, also a D1 college wrestler, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt, and MMA coach. But first, before we get to the show, let me thank our sponsors. BJJ Tees and Just Roll. For the best BJJ apparel out there, go check out BJJ Tees on social media, Instagram and Facebook. You can also catch them at any AGF event. Also, Toledo Wrestling Scales. They are the official wrestling scales of the D1 NCAA Wrestling Championships and the American Grappling Federation, as well as Easy Flex Mats. Check them out at easyflex.com. AGF podcast number 6. I'm in the house with Brutal Johnny Bedford. We are actually at his gym, Fitness Fight Factory in North Richland Hills, Texas. And real excited about this one. He is the current bare knuckle champion, bantamweight champ? Lightweight champ. He's an Ultimate Fighter and UFC alumni veteran. He has wrestled pretty much his whole life. And he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Black Belt. He's also an MMA coach. So we have lots to talk about. I'm super excited. He's actually done AGF super fights before, right? He's competed in AGF. He brings a squad. For you that don't know, North Richland Hills is in between Dallas and Fort Worth in Texas. So he attends a lot of our Oklahoma City and Dallas tournaments. The school has won several trophies. We've even got some of the old school trophies behind us. Johnny,
Brandon,
welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Johnny is also one of my black belts, but he has a lot of cool things to talk about here today.
Yeah.
Anything you want to kick it off with, or you want to start on down the list?
No, man. I'll let you lead the ship, but yeah, just happy to be here. Obviously, I mentioned one of his black belts, but I take pride in that I'm one of the first 5 black belts. 5 of us got it together, and it was a cool accomplishment, a cool day in my life for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I promoted 5 on the same day, so even though there's 1 through 5, they're all on the same day. Well, right now, like I posted earlier on Instagram that I was coming here to do the podcast with you, and a friend of mine from Arkansas, obviously know him, Rolly Delgado from GFT. He was like, he's a living legend, you know. And man, I've actually myself got to corner Johnny in the UFC as well. He's taught wrestling in front of me. He's taught classes. I've learned a lot from him as well. So I believe in that living legend status. Right now, I think you're for sure one of the most popular fighters in Texas and definitely the DFW area. We have UFC fighters here, but UFC is not the only form of fighting. And you did fight in the UFC. You fought locally. You fought around the United States, actually around the world.
Yep.
Fought in Abu Dhabi and in Brazil as well. But I mean, you're still in the game with the bare knuckle boxing. Absolute savagery. 5-0.
5-0.
5-0.
Yes.
So, you know, I mean, such an interesting story, you know, with the diversity of it, and then with bare knuckle now becoming popular, you know, that's definitely an exciting thing. So, I guess to kick it off, I would say the most experience you have would be wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. I spent 15 years. I mean, man, while I'm getting older, it may not be my most experienced anymore, but yeah, 15 years on a wrestling mat. And when I say on a wrestling mat, I mean more time was on a mat than not. I mean, maybe not like literally in theory, but I mean, there's 52 weeks a year, and I wrestled 3 times a week. Was a slow week, you know what I mean, without a tournament or whatever going on the weekends. So it was a lifestyle for myself, my parents, obviously guided me in that direction. My dad was a wrestler. My dad was the varsity wrestling coach of my high school.
And that's hailing out of the Toledo area, right?
Toledo, Ohio, little small town. I was born and raised in Woodville, Ohio. School was called Woodmore. We had a really good wrestling team. Ohio is obviously a really big wrestling state, so I grew up in that culture already of Midwestern wrestle, right? And when you wrestled up there, you know, I think people think it's like football down here. It's not that supported like you think. It's just the people that wrestle, that's what they do. They just wrestle. It's a year-round commitment. And yeah, that was my life for many years, and into college, where, you know, I met really cool people. I wrestled Division I in college at Cleveland State University. Was on the same wrestling team as current UFC heavyweight champ Stipe Miocic. Miocic slept on my mom and dad's couch, so it's pretty cool. We were buddies, like pretty close back then. Gerald Harris, Ultimate Fighter vet, UFC vet.
There's quite a few that came out of that.
Yeah, we had I mean, 3 of our starting 10 at one point, where I wasn't a starter very long because we had these little maniac twins there that I only wrestled a year and a half in college and was politely asked to leave because I made mistakes, and was in.
But it's because you were fighting, though, right?
Because I went from small town America to like surrounded by cornfields, being a tough guy already. You know, I grew up with a brother, so and we were the same size my whole life. He's only 22 months younger than I, but I was small, so we grew up just fighting, right? We fought each other, and but the truth was I didn't get in a lot of trouble in high school. I mean, I did. But not to the extent of what happened when I went to college. I went to the college and went downtown Cleveland, and start making decisions of who you're going to be at that point. And I really liked the guys that were not really wrestling anymore. They were wrestlers, right? But they were the beer drinkers, and they were the tough guys, and those guys they're alphas. And I found that life, and I really freaking liked it. And my poor parents, I put them through hell for a couple of years because I was just out of control, just fighting anybody that wanted to fight. I would just go look for trouble, and hopefully the bigger the better. That was my mentality. And I lost everything I'd worked for to be a Division I college athlete. Only made it a year and a half and was asked to leave, and came back kind of not sure what I was going to do. 20 years old, and okay, what now?
You almost joined the Army.
I almost joined the Army, yeah. I started fighting MMA. And people don't realize this, like when I was fighting MMA, there was like no athletic commissions, there was no, it was crazy. I had my first amateur fight in 2003, and we used to like show up to these amateur events. They didn't pay for travel, we had to get ourselves there. You'd show up 3 hours before the event, they'd say, who's gonna fight tonight? You raise your hand, maybe sign some BS waiver. Okay, you two look about the same weight, you'll fight. It was nuts, man. I fought twice one night. Some guy literally borrowed everything. I say everything. He borrowed a cup and a mouthpiece and fight shorts to fight me, and I beat him up. I was 6-0 as an amateur, and I took a break after that because it was like, what am I doing this for? I'm spending $200 to get here. They're not paying me to do anything. It's fun. I get to go home and it was VHS tape back then. We didn't have cell phones with cameras. You get to tape it and go show all your friends how you want to fight in a cage. But it wasn't doing anything. And then I got a call. They said, you want to make money fighting? And I thought it was a lot of money. I think it was like $200 to fight and 200 more to win or something crazy. Like some peanuts, right? And I'm in. And this is where life gets kind of crazy, right? Like I made a girl, knew her my whole life. She got pregnant. I had to make a decision. Like it was time to grow up, and probably the best thing that ever happened to me, honestly. Being honest, because I was I had no goals. I had no nothing. I was out of control, and ended up marrying her. Obviously, we have 2 kids together. We're not together now, but I still have a good relationship with her. I hope the best for her. We co-parent very well now. But yeah, you said I almost joined the military. That was true. I was fighting for $200 a fight at this point. And I remember I was working at UPS because they gave health insurance, and I had a baby on the way. And
important.
But I was making like $10 an hour for like 3-hour shifts loading cars or loading semi-trucks with packages, and you just did it for the benefits. You didn't do it for the paycheck. So I was trying to fight every weekend for like $300, $500, whatever they pay me. And the military looked really good, so I tried to join the military. And that bit me in the ass because they let me put all my eggs in that basket and let me keep this 3-hour-a-day job while I'm trying to fight like a maniac just to buy diapers. And to find out that I couldn't get in because of the trouble I had got in prior. Now, I was never a felon or anything like that, but that's a whole different story. The military let me put all my eggs in one basket. It didn't work out, and everything happens for a reason, I guess, because then I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with life, and this national franchise gym that I never even heard of had an ad on mixedmartialarts.com. mixedmartialarts.tv, the old UG forum. I mean, I still use it.
Underground.
Underground. And I saw an ad, hiring instructors, LA Boxing. And I clicked on it and I sent an email. I'm Johnny Bedford and my pro record is 4-2. I don't remember what it was. I'm a Division I college wrestler. I was 6-0 as an amateur, blah, blah, blah. I didn't think anything of it. And the next day they called me and said, we want you. I'm like, well, I got a wife now. I got to like talk to someone else. Like you know, I got a baby. So yeah, long story short, we thought we were going to go to Atlanta originally, and then they said Dallas, Texas. Dallas, Texas turned out to be Keller, Texas. March of '07, I moved to Keller, Texas to run a gym, and newborn baby, new wife, didn't know anybody, and I ran this gym for a couple of years. Obviously, we're telling stories that gym was a big part of, you know, reasons of things happen. Inside of that gym, lots of people who are very, very important to me now in my life today that I met back in 07, 08, 09, whatever it was. 9-year-old Devin Miller walked in the door, who Brandon and I have now both black belted. He's almost like a son to me, you know. I would call him like what Levi is to Brandon is Devin is to I. Of sorts, we've taken those two to California Worlds together. Evan Cutts, obviously, is a business partner of mine. Black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, got his black belt the same day as I did. Our family. He's married to my kid's mother's sister. Rafael Casillas walked in the door for a membership. That's what's funny about that. And so did Devin and Evan, but he was an adult at that point, and I ended up hiring.
This is all at LA Boxing.
This is all at LA Boxing. The first year and a half I'm in Texas. I meet all these people that are now. Rafael's another business partner. Rafael coaches me in every one of my bare knuckle fights. Rafael managed me and got me in the UFC.
Evan's had a great career. Evan beat Regan Penn, BJ's brother. Was that Elite XC?
Yep.
Yeah.
He's done the reality TV show for Bellator.
Yeah.
Evans, yeah, so because of LA Boxing, that franchise is no longer here. I've met all these great people, and it just, you know, I don't think I got the best shake from LA Boxing. They let me go on some weird terms and stuff and kind of left me hanging out to dry. But because of them, I met the people I met, and this is where I'm at. You know, I worked for them from March of '07 to March of '09. I almost quit fighting in the fall of '09 because I didn't have any more income coming in. It wasn't fair. I had a paycheck, a fight check bounce. I won my first ever pro title for like $3,000. I thought I was rich, and the check didn't go through. Like, it was crazy, dude. Like, and we didn't know we pay rent, so I almost gave it all up. And Rafael met with the guy and said, "Hey, we got this idea of let's open F3." And within 2.5 months of me meeting this guy, we opened F3. And January 2nd.
F3 being the short acronym name for Fitness Fight Factory, where we are right now.
And January 2nd of 2020, or right around the corner, will be 10 years in business.
Yeah.
So we're pretty proud of that for sure. We've been in 2 locations. We were in Colleyville for 5 years, and now we're in N Richland Hills. We've got a top-of-the-line facility I'm very proud of. We're building a really great team. I'm sure we'll get to more of that later on. I won't just keep talking, but.
Well, you know, it's something to add on to that. As a person who, you know, I'm a friend of yours. I've coached you before, but something that a lot, I mean, unless you're in the business, you just don't know. The the severity, I wouldn't want to say, the weight, I guess you could say, of a fight and of paychecks. People just don't realize that, how heavy that is, and sometimes fighters need that money. I mean, like you said, you know, you got Jaden and Delilah, your kids, you know,
Yep.
like, I mean, they're depending on you, you know, most of your fight career, you know, you had your ex-wife, like you were saying, you know, you had responsibilities. Some people just don't realize the weight of that and making money and what fighters go through. And, you know, you're expecting a fight and then you get injured, or sometimes guys hide it and fight injured, or, you know, because they need the money. I mean, there's so much to that. I mean, when I would coach you, corner you, I guess you could say, that's what I was most nervous about. You know, is just knowing your kids, knowing, you know, we all got bills to pay, and you know, it's getting better for now. Not for now, but it's getting better now. Guys are getting more fight pay, but I mean, what years was the UFC time frame? What was that 2012-ish?
I made my UFC debut December of 2011.
11. Now, was that the Ultimate Fighter? Would you call that?
The Ultimate Fighter finale. I kicked off the main card, won in spectacular fashion, got obviously signed a contract, and yeah, fought for the UFC. I had 7 fights, 7 fights in the UFC. Had some bad luck, had some injuries, had some controversial calls. You were at a couple of them. I started off hot.
Absolutely insane calls.
Yeah, I started off hot. I started off 2-0 in the UFC. I thought I was invincible almost, you know, and then I made mistakes that, you know, I'll live with the rest of my life, you know, things that have definitely affected the path that I went, was personal decisions, things that I can't get back, and that's the biggest part. You said, what, like these pressures of paychecks, like that was a big thing for me. But there's so many other external pressures, you know, like as a coach now, I'm trying to talk to these younger guys about, like, you better have your personal life, like, in line, because if that's messy, your professional life can't be good. Like, it can't be clean.
Yeah, your head ain't right.
And all that stuff is going to affect how you perform that night. Like, if you're over here worried about, who knows? And I hope my girlfriend is not going through my cell phone right now. You know what I mean? That, like,
yeah.
You're wasting, like, valuable, like, mental
Yeah.
space and energy, nervous energy. Like, that's just, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I can't lose because my kids won't eat. I don't know how I'm going to pay rent. You know what I mean? That'll kill you. That will kill your performance. Dude, there's so much stuff. So you have to, and I hope to be I use it as a coach. I want these guys to not make mistakes that I've made.
Well, I think that's part of why you pull them into your house the week of weigh-ins. The guys tend to literally live with John. Like, being a college wrestler, he's better at cutting weight than the rest of the people in the gym. I've watched him cut an extreme amount of weight and go through that stuff. But I mean, I think that's part of the reason why you pull him to the house, huh? Is trying to take all of the external distractions away the week of the fight.
That's what I'm trying. Yeah, I don't need you fighting with your girlfriends, or I don't need you being an ass to your mom, because it's not her fault that you can't eat. You know what I mean? So, like yeah. So I try, and you know, we had a pretty good team meeting just last night actually, and took the whole group to dinner and blah blah blah, and it was good. And I told some truths about myself that I think a lot of them needed to hear. Like, cause I said I'm the most successful guy in this room, and I'm not really that successful. I blew opportunities. I blew the UFC. If it wasn't for bare knuckle fighting, like I'd be a retired fighter right now, just coaching for a living. Like, don't live with these regrets, guys. Like, and it's the truth, you know. I'm proud of things I've accomplished. I've done a lot of great things. I've fought in the UFC. I've fought in 7 fights in the UFC, more than most people. I've made the NFL. You know what I mean? I did my time on an Ultimate Fighter reality TV show.
Yeah.
If bare knuckle wasn't around, I'd probably be just a coach right now, and I'd be okay with that. That's what I'm really passionate about. That, and I won't get ahead of our interview here, but like, I'm really thankful. You know, Bare Knuckle came at a really weird time, a really great time for me. They said this new sport is legal, and I said I am made for it. Like,
yes. If you guys have not seen Bare Knuckle fighting championships, that's what would be the proper term.
BJJ, yep.
You know, he's got his belts right behind us, and man, it's exciting. If you like boxing, it's awesome. If you like combat sports, it's awesome. A lot of facial cuts. You can't see Johnny's face right now, but I mean, even when they win, good night.
40 stitches last week.
Woo! Right, and so I think it's bridged a little bit of a gap in the entertainment combat sports world. A lot of people like that, you know. And without putting out personal information, I do believe you're making more with Bare Knuckle now than 8 years ago with the UFC.
It's on level. You know what I'm saying?
Level, yeah.
And Bare Knuckle's brand new. We're just getting started. So, yeah, dude, Bare Knuckle's the new real thing. And at 36 years old, it's perfect for me, dude. I'm gonna be doing this for a while. I'm really good at it. David Feldman's done a lot to make this a legal sport, which is crazy because we can go into the science of it all. I 100% am an advocate that it's 100% safer than MMA, than boxing, than any other combat sport. Like you said, I got cut up. I got 40 stitches last week. But 40 stitches do not affect how I talk to my grandkids.
Superficial cuts, you're saying?
Yeah, you're gonna bleed. And luckily for me, I'm not a model, so I'm okay. I can bleed a little bit, and I'm pretty freaking tough.
It is brutal Bedford, not pretty boy Bedford.
That's right. And but no, the science is it's safer. Gloves were not invented to protect your head. They were invented to protect my hands. Fights kept ending anticlimactic with broken hands or whatever else, and guys couldn't fight again because their hands are dust. You know what I mean? No one you can't have a career. So we started putting them in gloves to protect their hands. Well, now we're wrapping our hands, and I'm putting these guys in cast backstage where they'll go punch a brick wall.
Yeah.
And then I put them in a 4-ounce glove, and I say, go kill that guy.
Yeah.
He's going to go try to knock your head off. Take your gloves off. Take that wrap off. I bet you won't punch a brick wall.
So how does that affect you when you're, like, obviously having experience in MMA and bare knuckle? What do you, in your mind, are you saying I'm going to swing as hard as I can, or are you trying to pepper? Are you trying to stock and slap them? You know what I mean?
You can't slap, but you gotta touch them up. Yeah. No.
You feel because
you gotta pick your shots, right?
Yeah.
I'm turning them over at times, but I'm not looping overhands. You know what I mean? Trying to because you start looping overhands with me, I was like, I got a really hard head. I know how to play this game. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to block that. Like you're gonna hurt yourself. You know, so you've gotta. It's a completely different game.
Are you aiming differently then?
Oh yeah. You're
just trying to tag
eyebrows and below, uppercuts, body shots are money, but it's hot right now. Everyone says they want to do bare knuckle. Everyone wants to do bare knuckle. Well, great. I hope more and more stars come. I hope more and more people watch the sport. It's gonna just elevate everyone around us, right? And I'm a staple in that company right now, being the only guy 5-0 and the world champ. And
yeah, that's the question I had. So you officially have the best record in bare knuckle right now.
Oh, by far.
Yeah, and I have seen there's when we're talking about other stars. I mean, I know that there's Jim Ehlers. If I said I don't know if it's Ehlers or Ehlers. I think it's Ehlers. And actually, I think he fought in Abu Dhabi when you did, right?
Was it Abu Dhabi?
Maybe. Either that
we fought on the same card. I'm not sure.
Or Brazil, one or the other. And Artem Lobov, that's been a call out of yours recently a lot, So obviously you guys know Artem being Conor McGregor's buddy in training.
He's next. I would say it now. He's next.
He's next. There you go. So it has obviously and there's more, but there's
Jason Knight.
And he just fought Crazy Horse. So anyone who's
don't call him that anymore. I guess he does not Crazy Horse anymore.
And
now that I'm done beating him up, I'll respect the man. So
yeah, okay.
He's felony Charles Bennett, I guess.
So he prefers
somebody made a bunch of money off Crazy Horse, and it wasn't him. So he does not go by. There's two sides of every story. I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Charles Bennett.
Yes.
So when I heard you were fighting him, I was like, oh, just because he's an OG in the game. I mean, many different organizations and crazy fights, obviously, that he had. So yeah, there's definitely talent out there and some fun fights.
They're bringing in guys: Joey Beltran, Gabriel Gonzaga, Bigfoot Silva, Wanderlei Silva.
Oh wow! Wow!
We signed Hector Lombard.
Oh, that dude is explosive.
Right, so it's coming, man, and
that's awesome. I didn't know all that.
Artem's still probably, one of the biggest draws, and that's obviously why I want that fight. He's got 500,000 Instagram followers or something crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And so, and to retract a little bit about we are on the Ultimate Fighter show, we said, right?
Yep.
And so, tell us a little bit about your season, or buddies you had, or coaches you had, or whatnot.
Greatest season in Ultimate Fighter history. I'm biased, obviously, but I still believe that. We brought the little guys to the UFC. Before TUF 14, and we taped it in the summer, June, July of 2011 is when we taped the show. It didn't air till the fall, and then obviously the finale was in December. But we brought the 135 and the 145 pound division to the UFC. They were currently just in the WEC. They had brought a few, like 1 or 2 off fights over. They were announcing this was happening, but they needed to fill divisions with credible fighters, and they needed to get people talking about those divisions. So Ultimate Fighter 14 comes on, and I think it was a little set itself different because they knew they had to fill divisions, right? They couldn't get just a bunch of clowns. They had to get legitimate guys, which made the season very competitive.
Who were some of the guys on that season?
TJ Dillashaw, 2-time champ. Obviously, we know the counters them. John Dodson's fought for a world title twice. Dennis Bermudez has done phenomenal. Was ranked top 5 at one point. Brian Caraway was ranked top 10 at one point.
Coaches
was Mayhem Miller, Michael Bisping. Bisping, obviously, future Hall of Famer.
Mayhem's the one who taught me the Darce choke.
Yep. Mayhem Miller was my coach, man, and I love that dude. That's a funny story. That guy. Obviously, we know what happened. He got beat up by Bisping, and then he went off the deep end. He got found, naked in a church or something. Like, I was still fighting the UFC. Like, Mayhem, what's going on, dude? And I still to this day, I bet you every 6 months or a year or something, I'll get a notification that says I'm being followed by Mayhem Miller. I'm like, I never knew he didn't follow me, but I appreciate you following me again.
Well, I would say this in his defense. I don't think it was Bisping that did that to him. He's always been a little bit different character.
But he was amazing on the show, and I say that great coach, great person, not that shtick of bully beat. Like I genuinely like the dude. I appreciated he brought in great assistant coaches. It was a good. It wasn't a good experience. The Ultimate Fighter sucks. It's jail.
Bully Beatdown, for those that don't know, was it MTV?
Yeah, an MTV show.
MTV show, and guys fought people who were bullying them and trained by someone, and he was the host.
Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, in 2006 in Hollywood when I was training, he taught me the Darce. Obviously now we've ran with that, and I always credit that guy. That was originally from Half Guard. He showed it to me. And I think that was an epic Ultimate Fighter, though.
It was epic.
Really good. Great fights, and like you said, the introduction to the other weight classes coming from the WEC. It's a era or a season that we can never replicate or get back again. It's definitely a pivotal moment in the UFC as well. That's awesome. And so, man, when you went on to fight in the UFC and fought in Brazil, Abu Dhabi, all these cool spots, getting to travel, how do you like traveling and fighting?
Great question. I love traveling.
I love fighting.
I like fighting.
I have my opinion on it, but
I like traveling. Not to, probably, maybe this is just because of personal experience, but I don't think I want to go to new places and compete because I like traveling, right? It's not just business anymore. Now, I loved fighting in Vegas. Why? Because I get away from everything. I don't have to be a coach. I don't have to check the toilet paper at the gym. I don't have to do anything. I just have to be a fighter for a week, right? They fly you in Tuesday, we weigh in Friday. I've been to Vegas before. It's you know what I mean. I'm not an asshole to my wife. Like what I was married at the time. I'm not. You know what I mean. Like I wasn't a jerk to people at home. Like I just got to go away and just be a fighter for 3 days. Weigh in and fight. Right. Yeah. Like I love that. Like, so that's a weird answer. Well, I don't like going to Abu Dhabi because I want to go see Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
I don't. You know what I mean.
Not just the hotel.
Right. Exactly.
Well, what I didn't like, it was something that I specifically remember when we went to Brazil. We quickly found out because we were doing the Epsom salt and then the towels wrapping to cut weight. And when we went there, we realized that the Brazilian hotels do not have bathtubs.
Nope.
I mean, we looked all over the city.
We rented a hotel with a bathtub just to.
Yeah, we had to go find and I don't know. We called 8 of them. Yeah, you know, and all of a sudden we're like, dang. And then so we had, and the UFC pays for our hotel. But we had to come out of pocket.
Yep.
You had to come out of pocket for that other hotel. That
the bathtub was tiny.
Yeah,
it was bad.
That was the one thing that came up when I was thinking.
It's hard to cut weight. That big travel, it's hard to make weight. And I'm a big guy. Cutting weight is a process for me. So, yeah, that's no bathtubs threw a wrench in the weight cut for sure.
We did stay a few
which
days
just stresses
after.
you out, right? Which just adds pressure. Like you don't have to want to worry about. You're trying to compete at the highest level, and you're over here wasting energy, stressing out.
Yeah, and when you fly that far, the difference between fighting somewhere in the United States, for example, and being an American fighter compared to like fighting out of country, you know, you bloat when you fly. Johnny and I both showed up to Abu Dhabi with our ankles the size of cantaloupes.
Yeah.
You know, and so then you have the added pressure. You might have to cut more weight on top of it.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was definitely that's what comes to mind when I think of traveling and fighting, was just that one incident in Brazil that was like that. But we did stay a couple days after Brazil, not really Abu Dhabi though.
Yeah. I remember why life situations, you know, like.
Well, it's just a long time for us to be away from our families.
Yeah, not to knock it, but UFC doesn't. They're not making it the easiest for you to go vacation after. You know, they'll fly you back whenever you want, but you're on your own dime. Like I didn't get to take my wife at the time. You know what I mean? Because that's out of your own pocket. And I'm not gonna bash them, but you know, you're not making a ton of money when you're entry level UFC.
Yeah.
It wasn't financially like feasible as a family man to fly my wife to Brazil to go.
Yeah.
Like.
You got to pay for a second coach too.
Yeah, I got to pay for a second coach. Yeah. They only pay for one coach. They only pay for one hotel. So if I bring my wife, I got to get another hotel room too, and a $1,500 flight. Like that's what you young guys, you better, dude.
Well, that's why
if you're trying to be a world champion, don't bullshit yourself. Like this is not a. If you want to be a doctor, you go to school every day.
Well, as an MMA coach, like you're saying, you had a meeting last night. Telling the guys some of your experience. I mean, that's valuable information and experience you could pass on to the next guys. You know, of what you've had to go through.
For sure. On
that subject, tell us a little bit about, you know, Fitness Fight Factory's fight team and what you're doing with the MMA team. I mean, here you don't just got MMA. Fitness Fight Factory, you guys full-blown compete in jiu-jitsu. You compete in boxing. I mean, you guys box pretty often. Rafael Casillas is the boxing coach here. He's known throughout Texas. You know, so you guys are pretty active in several sports. So tell us a little bit about the team.
I'm really proud of the team. I'm really proud of what we're building. Professional-wise, on the MMA level, obviously, we've got Levi, who everyone knows Levi if you know Brandon. Levi's 11-4.
Levi Miles.
Levi Miles, yeah. He's a workhorse. He comes to practice every day. He'll be in the UFC. 2020 is going to be his year. Evan Guts, obviously, just walked in the door randomly. 11-4, I think is his record too. Has been to Bellator, still working his way up. Devin Miller, black belt in jiu-jitsu, 22 years old, phenom, fought in front of Dana White already. Valerie Soto, Cody Freeman, Charlie Spoelstra, Melvin Lopez is now a pro, just fought Combates America. And then we have a really good amateur team that's coming. Sending pro now is 7-0 as an amateur was Malik Lewis, now turning pro. DJ Doyle, who I think is, if not the best, the second best amateur. They fought each other. The decision was really close. is now wrestling Division I in college and putting MMA on, at least turning pro MMA on hold for right now.
DJ was my fastest to purple belt.
He's a phenom.
And
he's the greatest.
Phenom, but also training opportunities, because he's one of those kids. He was homeschooled, so his parents allowed him to. He would come to day class with all the savages, because we all typically teach at night or whatnot, and he would be able to train during the day, do his homework after that, and then train at night. And he just and yeah, like you said, now he's wrestling.
Now he's wrestling on a scholarship. Like, it's scary.
Yeah,
it's scary.
The guys with the work ethic are just. If you got a work ethic to go with talent, those guys are just amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
I don't want to, we got a lot more. JC De Leon is now 6-0. No. 5-0 in MMA and 8-0 in boxing. Kid's 13-0 in combat sports. He's phenomenal.
Got a lot. Darren. You got a bunch of people, yeah.
Daniel Figueroa is going to be the big deal at 25. Jacob James. Armando, who trained with you back in the day, is going to make his debut in 2020. Diana.
Yeah, ladies.
We got girls. We got everyone. Yeah, and then like you said, we have a pretty active boxing team. Some of our amateur fighters will still box, cross over, but we've got a pretty big youth team that is competing regularly. It's probably our fastest growing class right now. Rafael's doing a great job with that youth boxing team. Got adult Muay Thai. We've got Margaret Savage is doing the Muay Thai Nationals this year. She's in her 50s. She's going to compete for the first time. It's badass.
Awesome. And I think also to add to that also is like that is specifically from this gym, but then we have other guys within the network, the association with Fitness Fight Factory, like Derek Krantz and Kevin Agar, who are both in the UFC, and they're from Team 515 in Longview. They come over here in camps and on Tuesdays, and you have a good crew of people who come. I think on Sundays open mat, this is the place to be. I mean, that I come in sometimes, guys. There'll be 30 or 40 people in the building on Sunday, and guys are just getting after it, whether it be striking or jiu-jitsu. So you're definitely building a good thing. I'm really excited for what's to come, for sure.
I'm really happy. Yeah, I'm proud of what we're doing here. He was a part of it. He helped obviously make me the grappler I am today. He's obviously a big part of who Levi Miles is, who's a team leader, and he dude steps up and coaches because he's so good at jiu-jitsu on the very regular. Yeah, if you're in the area, I'll arrogantly say I think you probably know who Fitness Fight Factory is.
Yeah.
If you're not in the area, you will soon. We're doing really big things. I'm really proud of my team's young too. That's what's scary. They're really young.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is not a general normal mat room. Like I always tell people, sometimes I know you're only a year younger than me, but I'm the oldest one on the mat. Sometimes, most of the time, I would say, and then of course we have Len Bentley. Len's a former M1 Global. He was on Ultimate Fighter before you.
Yep.
With Brock Lesnar and them, and as a black belt at the gym. Like, so we have a lot of experience. So we can go on and on about other people in the gym. There's quite a few members, and you have 3 classes going on at the same time.
Yeah, in the evenings we'll have, tonight alone we'll have 1, 2, 3 in the bag room classes. On the mats we'll have 1, 2, 3, and on the boxing area we'll have 2. So we'll have 8 classes tonight, starting from 4:30. The last one ending at 8:30.
Yeah.
In 4 hours we'll have 8 classes.
Yeah, yeah. That's a lot of people in the building. That's good. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. I think Evan said something the other day, like 60 classes a week or something like that.
62 classes a week.
62. Yeah, that's nuts. It's a great opportunity for people to train all avenues of combat sports, for sure.
Yep.
I'm excited. I've seen Fitness Fight Factory move locations, grow, into this new spot, and pushing the athletes out there, led by a guy who's got all the experience as well too, and is still leading by example. I mean, I know, like in jiu-jitsu, for example, I can compete till I'm 60 if I wanted, so it's easy for me to lead by example in jiu-jitsu. It's hard to lead by example in combat sports when you're you can't be doing bare knuckle, I don't think, when you're 55. So
I can't do MMA when I'm 55 for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
MMA is rough, the training camps and everything else, but No, I appreciate you saying that. That's exactly what I'm trying to do, is kind of, lead from the front. I can do a better job. I'm really passionate about coaching right now, but again, if there's not many guys that have the credentials that I have, that's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, college wrestler, professional boxer, UFC vet. I mean, there's a lot of pretty major boxes to check there.
Yeah.
That not many people can. And I said to him the other day, I've got a PhD in combat sports.
Yes, for sure. Well, and I know you're being modest, but you are doing just fine by leading my example. You are doing great. It's not that you can do better. I mean, you are the current champ of bare knuckle fighting, So it's not like you're out there with a 2-4 amateur record.
Right. Yeah.
like the UFC gyms down the street kind of stuff.
Exactly.
I hate that. Our closest competition is UFC gyms. No one's in the UFC. It's like, what?
No one.
But so I think you're doing great. I have gone on to do AGF. I used to coach full time here. I used to actually be a part owner. It was interesting. It got to a point one day I was sitting. I don't know if you know this exact story or not, but I was sitting on the beach in California, and I got a phone call from you and Evan, and you were like, you paid too much attention to the tournament, so we want to buy you out. And then like 20 minutes later, no joke, I got a call from my partner Chris, and he was like, you paid too much attention to the gyms. You need to do more, or I want to buy you out. I thought you guys were in cahoots.
Nope.
And I found out they weren't, and so that was great. But so I ended up making the decision to go full time towards AGF, and I still live down the street, and I come over here watching what you guys are doing, and it's
Still teach here.
Yeah, well, yeah, I still teach the advanced on Tuesdays and basics on Tuesday night to stay connected. I'm forever do jiu-jitsu, so I'm not going away anywhere with it. But watching it grow from the outside a little bit more is, it's absolutely amazing. I think it's growing and growing. It's definitely not leveling off. It's definitely not going down. It's going up. Everyone here absolutely loves you. If you guys don't know, we have what is it? What we call it? A white screen projection.
A projector, HD projector they put up whenever I fight.
Yes, and so we turn out the lights, have a party. Sometimes there's a barbecue. Next door is actually a brewery, so if you want some beers, they can come by. And we all watch Coach Johnny fight. I mean, they have done this since the beginning of, I can remember, Fitness Fight Factory. They are super excited. I mean, super lovable guy. Even in the fitness kickboxing classes, I know you got ladies that are over 70 years old that are actually, I think, tell me if I'm wrong, the longest members.
Oh yeah, I've got
maybe Devin Miller, but
Devin Miller was 9. Well, he signed up the same time as Linda and Nancy, and they're. I think Nancy. I think she said she turned 76 this year, 77 this year.
They're here on the daily.
She's here 4 days a week, and she's been boxing with me since the LA boxing days. So I met her maybe 08, and we're in 2019, about to be 20. She's been boxing for 12 years, dude. Yeah. She's in her 70s, bro. Like, she's awesome.
Don't be picking on the old ladies.
Nope.
They'll get after it. Dig in it.
She's awesome. She's but it's cool, right? Like she's a huge asset of my business, right? Because don't tell me you can't do this. You're too out of shape. You're too whatever.
Oh, I say it. I use her.
Like she's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But she says she's not going to stop. As soon as she stops, she becomes an old lady. And I agree with her. You're only as young as you feel and act. And she won't get old because she's going to come punch this bag 4 days a week regardless.
Shout out to Elmo.
Elmo
as well, too.
Vietnam vet.
In his 70s.
Yep. Comes here. Long-time martial artist. We appreciate having him, obviously, around. He's a good person, yeah. Yeah, great having him. Fellow martial artist. He loves this place. He's always been good to us.
So a little bit, let's get, obviously it was the AGF podcast, and we're a little bit about jiu-jitsu here.
Yeah.
Tell me about your jiu-jitsu history. I mean, I know we said we trained with me, but just about the martial art, super fights, competing or leading a team, anything like that on your mind?
My jiu-jitsu journey was different than anybody's, I think. I was already a professional fighter before I even put on a gi or arguably even took like an organized jiu-jitsu class. I was from Toledo, Ohio in 03 when I was fighting amateur and stuff. There wasn't like jiu-jitsu schools. And then It's funny. There was one, and I didn't know enough about it. Like I don't want to call it big regrets, but Salo and Shanji Ibero was living in Toledo, Ohio while I was there, and I did not take advantage of it.
Yeah, the Ibero brothers first moved to the States.
Toledo, Ohio.
Yeah.
And I didn't it was like $150 a month back then. I was like, there's no way. No. And, what an idiot. But,
that's my whole $200 purse when I fight.
Yeah, exactly, right? So.
How long did they stay in Toledo?
I couldn't tell you because I got out. I moved to Texas. And honestly, that's when I really became a full-time martial artist, right? I was just a tough guy wrestler in Ohio. I started at Moeller Jiu-Jitsu.
Alan Moeller is the first American black belt underneath Alliance in Jacare.
Yep. Alan Moeller, I went through Moeller, or his people, white through brown. That was a white belt not too long. Being a college wrestler, already fighting MMA and stuff, I was pretty proficient at grappling. You know, I had holes and needed to figure out things, but yeah. And along the way, I to this day, man, if I had a father figure in DFW, if I needed a older person, someone my dad's age of advice, I could call in a Moeller and he would help me. I were forever appreciative of that man. He's always opened his doors up into me, my people. He's, just doing really well in the jiu-jitsu world for business. I look up to him a lot. He means a lot to me. And along the way, though, there was no even animosity. I started training with Brandon, and me and Brandon clicked.
I think mainly it's because I was bringing Levi to you.
Yeah.
And
we were all training together, and Brandon started teaching here, and I was like, man, we really connect. And then the opportunity of obviously becoming partners and stuff came up, and we're like, you could grow our jiu-jitsu, I'll focus on the MMA and whatever. And it just so worked out. And, early on, I think, of meeting you, Brandon, however you want to say, who am I talking to, I knew that you'd be the guy that black belt me, and I wanted to earn it. And it was important to me to earn a black belt, not be given a black belt because of my wrestling credentials or because of my MMA accomplishments. I wanted to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu. And I'm happy to say that, I did it that way. I'm proud of where I came from. I'm proud of, that accomplishment. That's a big freaking deal. Black belt in jiu-jitsu. If you are one, you understand what I'm saying. It's a big freaking deal.
I didn't hold back either. Made you play lapels.
Yeah.
I mean, I got videos of you and your brown belt playing worm guard.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm not a sport jiu-jitsu guy. I'm a wrestle, smash, pass down top, MMA-based grappler, right? So I didn't want to be given a black belt without, knowing how to do a power choke. There'd be a problem.
Yeah. Yes. Not to say that Alan Moeller was doing that or any of those guys were at all.
We just said knocking him.
Yeah.
The transition happened because you and I started. We were on the same wave.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. I think it was great, and bringing the guys to you, we ended up collaborating a team together.
For sure. Yep.
And all of us have well rounded out each other. I mean, we've taught dual seminars. Johnny had never been out of country yet, and we went to Trinidad and Tobago.
Might be right.
And we ended up going. Yeah, I think that was before Abu Dhabi or Brazil.
Yeah.
And we went to Trinidad and Tobago. I had an affiliate down there, and that's when we first started teaching dual seminars.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is me and him taught at the same time. If you have not been in a mat room where me and Johnny can just get on fire, man. Me and him, like, everyone compliments me on my seminars. I try and tell people, I try and tell my black belts, put yourself out there. Johnny is one of the best instructors. Like, you have no idea. He runs the kids program full time and teaches half the adult classes.
Yep.
Evan teaches the other half. And man, the detail, the way you translate the information, it is sick. He's a really good instructor. I would highly recommend you bring Johnny to your school, whether it be for striking, MMA, or wrestling or jiu-jitsu. But he's improved my wrestling a lot. Two-time All-American Greco, is that right?
No, Greco and freestyle.
Greco and freestyle.
Wrestling Division I in college. Probably my biggest accomplishment would be All-American at Junior Nationals. 18 years old. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big deal back then.
What changed my wrestling game? I love to do Greco a lot now, and I'm being tall, not liking to shoot as much. I like to get there through the underhooks and get to the legs eventually, but not through open shots. I'm tall and slow.
We're old now.
And old, yeah. So body locks are king.
Yeah,
you know,
squeeze these little guys.
Yeah, I mean, even everyone in my network knows. You know, we're gonna squeeze them. And the Johnny Bedford special is what you hear me say all the time. We're gonna body lock that dude and then walk straight to mount. I mean, it's great. We watch it. It's done throughout jiu-jitsu tournaments, MMA fights, and it's a big part of the game. How much do you think that wrestling has played or is I don't want to say beneficial, but how important do you think wrestling is for MMA and jiu-jitsu?
MMA, it's very important. You have to be able to control where the fight goes. And that's what wrestling is. Wrestler, if I'm a better striker than you, well, I keep it standing. You keep a striking fight. If I'm not a better striker than you, well, I put you on your back. Right? Super important. Tuesdays and Thursdays where we separate our fighters from the jiu-jitsu classes, we wrestle. Because it's all about being on top, being in dominant position. Say it every day, be Khabib, right? Be on top, put that guy in a bad spot, be Khabib, be Khabib. Habib.
What do you think about the guys? I'll use Levi as an example. Levi never, and you know guys at the elite level in the UFC as well, but like never wrestled, right? And he's what we would say is today's version of a hybrid. You know, same thing.
Exactly.
You know, and so do you think that the guys who didn't wrestle their whole life, or you know, even officially wrestle, you know, in high school or college, whatnot, but do you think they can keep up with the guys that wrestled their whole life in the grappling game when it comes to the mixed martial arts?
Yeah, Levi's right there. Levi's going to the UFC.
I'm just saying, like, the comparison of the guys who are hardcore wrestlers, but the guys who are coming up in this hybrid version today.
These hybrid kids are taking over. That's what's scary. You know what I mean? That's what's, not to get off subject, but that's what's pushing me out of MMA. These guys are freaking good, dude.
Yeah, yes.
These kids are good. Like, they've grown up, like, with MMA on their mind. I didn't have that. I never thought about, like, practicing taking someone down and punching them. You don't practice that. That's illegal. You know what I mean? Like, you never did that as a teenager.
It is a thought growing up for me, though, in jiu-jitsu.
You had it different, though. I didn't. I was like, you wrestled them. You took them down, you pinned them.
Yeah, for
right?
sure. But
you never, like, gave your back and or went to your back and stood back up that way, right? Kicked people off of them like you're getting pinned. Yeah. It was never a mentality for me, ever.
Yeah.
These kids, Levi was fighting UFC fighters when he was 16 years old, wall wrestling and,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And, like, figuring out that, man, it really sucks when you get, this guy binds my legs together and punches me in the face and I can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know? So, and Levi's intelligent. Levi's smart. And Levi, because of you, because of, and then a collective of people, Pat Curran, Will Campazano, like the list goes on and on, that have given him pieces of the game he is today. Chris Gutierrez, you know, I don't want to leave people out, but I am leaving hundreds, right? And that's what's scary.
Man, even you mentioning that many people, sometimes I forget how many people come through these doors. And Pat Curran was 145 champ of the Bellator. Will Campazano was one of them. For me, that dude's dynamic.
First UFC 135 pounder ever.
Will was?
Fought the first ever 135 pound fight in the UFC.
See, I don't know some of those MMA stats. You keep up on them. Chaz Skelly, for
Comes
sure.
in the doors. Wrestled with Levi numerous times.
We've trained with Ryan Benoit.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
All kinds of people.
They come in, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Sometimes I forget some of that, you know, how much has come through these doors and that we've cross-trained with. And Texas is a good state, man.
Texas is a great state.
Yeah.
We're a great state, man.
Both of us non-Texans. We moved here. Right? Got here as fast as we could, though. Okay, people.
I will rep Texas forever now. I'm a proud Texan. And Texas MMA, Texas combat sports, man, we're doing big things. And like I made a post the other day, let's support each other. Let's build this thing up. Like let's let the whole world know how good Texas is. I mean, it's how many black belts are in DFW now? It's amazing. Like we're a hotbed. We're a hotbed. How many UFC fighters live in DFW now? We're a hotbed.
More than the surrounding states combined for black belts.
That's what I'm saying. We're here, man.
And next to Oklahoma.
But let's support each other, right? Let's support each other. It's like
even the wrestling. I think the wrestling is starting to elevate, even though it's not known as a wrestling state. Being right next to Oklahoma, we're starting to now have kids in Texas get wrestling scholarships outside of the state of Texas.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, so that's...
Bo Nickel. Bo Nickel's up at Penn State winning 3-time national championships, fighting Gordon Ryan in a crazy rule submission fight, right?
Well, actually, now that I just
said... That kid's from... Bo Nickel's from Allen, Texas. Allen, Texas is a power.
Really? I didn't know he was from Allen. That's awesome.
Texas wrestling, baby. Yeah. Allen, if you don't know anything about Texas wrestling, they're the powerhouse here. Yeah. I don't think anyone's beat him in the last 6 years in the state tournament.
I did not know he was from it. So you know that wrestling world better than I do. Yeah. And then just thinking about Texas kids getting out of state, Chris Brennan's son just signed, right? And then our little stud Jackson, he's just turned 18. I gave him his brown belt at 17. He wrestling guillotine. He twisted his way to state title, and as a junior signed with Cheetah.
Wichita Baptist.
Is that how you say it? Oh, sorry. I've been pronouncing it wrong.
Wichita Baptist.
I'm sorry for all the people that made me mad about that. But I mean, yeah, another kid who trained since he was 9 years old. Can't wait to strap a black belt on him. But yeah, I got an out-of-state wrestling scholarship. And I asked when I said that the other day.
Texas has a state now. Texas has a university with a legitimate NAIA program. Texas Wesleyan, first one. That's huge. That's huge. So
and it's two of our guys wrestle.
Yes. So DJ's there on a scholarship right now. Garrett Miles, Levi's brother, never wrestled. Like that's a Rudy story of sorts, right? Like he never that kid found out that wrestling's a possibility, and he worked his ass off, and now he's legitimately on a college wrestling team. Like, it's a cool story.
He's a black belt of mine. I've trained him since he was 11 years old.
Get him on this podcast.
The other cool thing, he's had some articles done on him from Texas MMA and a few different people. Because he has Asperger's. I think it's now under the autism umbrella. They got away with the term Asperger's. But so he has a cool story there. And actually, Devin, your protege, has a non-profit organization and on Sunday runs an open mat for autistic kids called COA, Choke Out Autism. So if you're ever interested in that, hit us up. We can point you in the right direction if you ever want to donate towards anything in that direction. Yeah, lots of good stuff going on there. Anyhow, about to wrap it up, I guess. You know, you are an awesome guy. I appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate you guys having me, man. It was cool.
Any last little sponsor or websites, any stuff like that you'd like to give a shout out to?
No, I mean, sure. Shout out to, obviously, AGF and Brandon Quick. We'll forever support them. They're taking over the tournament world, obviously. If you're watching this, you know they do a good job with tournaments.
Thank you.
Fitness Fight Factory. Always got to plug my gym, my team. Sponsors, Link Transport, Coastal Development, Veteran Farms. We'll talk about that later. No, man. I'm blessed. I'm lucky. I get to do this full time. I get to teach combat sports at a high level here in my facility, and I'm just appreciative of this platform and all platforms that allow me to do this for a living.
Awesome. If they want to get at you on social media?
At Brutal Bedford.
At Brutal Bedford. Last little thing. How'd you get that nickname?
It was given to me, and randomly enough, by the current Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship ring announcer, Jeff Houston. He said randomly after a fight, brutal finish by Brutal Johnny Bedford, and it stuck.
When and where was this?
2008 or 9 in Frisco, Texas. SWC was the promotion.
So he got, and that's interesting. So he coincidentally is also now the Bare Knuckle.
He's got the loud bow tie and stuff that is up the Bare Knuckle.
He must be really good. He's bouncing around.
Well, he started at SWC, right? Just like I started at these little local promotions.
Awesome.
Now he's at M1. Now he's doing good things. So.
Brutal Johnny Bedford. Thank you, sir. One more time.
Thank you. Yep.
All right.
Thank you, guys.